she walked outside and he was winding her spring and she started bawling. And she said, my husband just had a heart attack trying to wind that spring 2 months ago. And he started crying. She was crying. And then at the end of it, he said, I'm not going to charge you for this. We're just going to take care of you. And then she started crying again. And he sends me a picture of all of his kids and his wife. And he says, this is my why. And I was like, I get goosebumps thinking about it because those are the things that we do. And there's so much more than what people look at.
Mm-hmm.
They look at that and they go, that's a tradesman. And I'm like, no, we're a tradesman.
Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. Garage doors. Do you consider your people tradespeople? Are you a tradesperson?
I am a tradesperson. I mean, these guys are technicians, installers, just like HVAC, plumbing, electrical.
I love that because I actually had a welder in here a few weeks ago, and somebody in the live stream says, look, welding is not a trade. It's like, are you joking? So anyway, I thought that was funny, but I look at tradespeople, construction tradespeople as anybody who works on houses, commercial building, anything like that. And there's a lot of trades there. It takes a lot of people to build a building.
It does. It's complicated.
And man, true plumb and square, and especially with garage doors, that's a big deal.
It is. There's a lot of different garage doors out there, but we really focus on garage doors. We're getting into storage. We're getting into the flooring, probably go into front doors because we want to own that. The market cap is $14 billion residential garage doors. We haven't dabbled a whole lot in commercial, but, over 350 technicians, 50 installers, 20 states, 40 markets. Garage doors is a great, great business. It's 40% of your curb appeal. It's the smile of your home. There's technology that allows Amazon to deliver into the garage. It's the number one ROI in the home, more than your kitchens or bathrooms. Remodel Magazine, 102.7%.
Wow.
And, you're selling an HVAC unit or a hot water heater. It doesn't really, you don't see it. You're not using it all. You don't realize that you're using it all the time. So I love garage doors. When I'm watching like a James Bond movie, I'm looking at what kind of garage doors are in the background.
It's funny because I always look at the plumbing fixtures.
Oh, yeah.
When I walk into the bathroom, what brand fixture is that? Why do they have that toilet?
Yep.
Stuff like that. So I like that. And you literally got started. I've heard your story, but you got started painting garage doors.
Yeah.
In high school.
Well, I was just out of high school. I was in my early 20s, and my roommate was managing at a garage door company. He was a manager, and he said, hey, Tommy, you kind of figure out how to do. I was bartending. I was flipping trucks. I was flipping cars. I was just hustling. I was flipping Bowflexes and Total Gyms. I'd buy them on Craigslist, sell them in the Arizona Republic. And he's like, can you paint garage doors? I'm like, no, how much does it pay? He's like, $100 a door. You provide the paint. And he said, you could probably do 3 a day. And, I'm very entrepreneurial. So I hired a painter. He taught me, this old man. And he's like, I'll teach you, I paid him double. I gave him all the money plus out of my own pocket. Went to Home Depot, bought a Magnum 5. I used to buy Glidden Speed Coat. It was $12 a gallon. And it went on good. What I learned to do is kind of feather in if it was darker. And I got to the point I was driving a 96 G20 Infinity. And I called every garage door company in Maricopa County. And I got to the point where I was painting 10 doors on Saturday, 10 doors on Sunday. I was making good money.
Absolutely.
And then I met with these technicians, and I remember in 2006, the guy's like, I made $600 today. And I'm like, you're a technician? And my other roommate got a job under Sean. So Gabe got a job at that company. And he goes, dude, this is like a really good industry. You should do a ride along with me. And this is when I had my landscape company on top of all that. So I did a ride along with him, and 2006, the market was going crazy. I remember we went to a guy's house. He's like, I don't want to get up on a ladder at all. I want remotes. And Gabe's like, well, for us to program each remote, because it was really high ladders, it was like super tall. They were all RV doors, like a massive. This guy was like a rapper. He was like $200 a remote. He's like, that's fine. He goes, how much for a keypad? He's like $300. I was like, that doesn't even make sense. So we started a business. The market crashed. And we did everything you could think of. It Murphy's Law. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. But it doesn't help that my partner was smoking a pound of weed a month. We learned the hard knocks. That's how we got started. 2 guys. old truck. We shared the truck. He'd go run some jobs. We'd split the phones. I got to the point where I hated the phone to ring, even though I knew it was money, because it was like I was doing everything. It was the Michael Gerber E-Myth, you know. I was a technician trying to run a business. And after mistake, I'm so glad it went the way it did, because no one really taught me the first 5 years. I got to make the mistakes with very little money. And we made ends meet, but I was always still bartending and doing stuff to make ends meet. Like we paid our rent. We were best friends. We lived together. In 2010, I said, listen, man, I want to go my own direction. Either you take on the debt or I'll take on the debt, because this business isn't working. And he said, you can keep it. He moved to Montana. He's a great insurance broker, makes great money. Still one of my best friends of all time.
I love that. Now, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Tommy Mello. I'm from Michigan. And we started A1 Garage Door Specialist in 2010. I changed it to A1 Garage Door Service. We fix garage doors, we repair them, we install them. It's one of those niches where it was never really, garage doors were never really on the map. Like I could give you 40 guys right now, whether it's PE or great owners, that all have private jets, all started in HVAC, plumbing, electrical. Those are like the trinity. So I got pretty smart after a while. I said, these guys are driving around the private jets. I need to go hang out with those guys. So I started studying HVAC, like to the 10th degree. I started flying to different markets, and they'd be like, you're a garage door guy? Sure, come and talk to my CMO, talk to the CFO. The owners would give me the books.
They're going to tell you everything they know.
Literally, I'd come out with like pages and pages and pages of notes. And 2014, I finally found a really good guy to work with. His name's Adam, and he was my number one guy. I mean, he handled everything I hated. I hated HR. I hated dealing with lawyers. I hated contracts. I like selling. I like marketing. And I like leadership. Those are the three things I thrive in. So I learned to hire for my weaknesses. And then 2017 came around. I met Al Levy, the 7-power contractor, taught me about manuals, standard operating procedures, systems. Got onto Service Titan. And then if you look at every catalyst from there, it's been hiring great people that are smarter than me. So, you know, I moved to Phoenix in 1999. And, I'm a hustler. But I had to let the hustler die to become a CEO. I had to change who I was. Yeah, it's crazy, because at first I was negotiating. I was grinding. I was making ends meet. And now I'm like, I'm a delegator. I'm a leader. I'm literally trying to grow people. I wrote the book, Home Service Millionaire, 12 co-authors. And then I wrote Elevate, Build a Business Where Everybody Wins, because my mindset changed during COVID. I was like, there's all these great people here that aren't quitting on me. And they came into my office one by one, like a lot of people, and they're like, cut my pay in half. I'll give you all my sick days to somebody that needs them. And I said, I need to become way better than I am. So I really focused so much more on the people and focusing on their dreams. No one gets excited when we hit a record. What's in it for them?
Right.
So I changed my mindset, and, I really try to be the best. I'm a work in progress. I got a lot of work to do, but I really try to pay it forward to the people. I see all these people giving out money to, hospitals and great causes.
You bet.
But you got to look in your own backyard. There's a mother that's a dispatcher that's got bald tires that's not going to be able to afford Thanksgiving dinner or presents for her kids. I don't like the people that try to do a press release for to give to contribute rather than taking care of their own people.
I heard you speak earlier this year, and it was that mindset, that attitude. There was a lot of things. Number one, Michael Gerber was my first coach. I had read E-Myth. Literally, I downloaded it on the way to Austin. I went down to be at the Capitol to do some stuff. And I went to hit play, and it said, I hadn't downloaded. So I got to the hotel, checked in, hooked up the Wi-Fi, went to dinner. When I came back, it was on. So I turned it on, laid it down while I'm getting ready for bed, and listened to the first chapter. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I called my wife at the time and said, hey, we're changing everything we do, and we're changing now. And it's a complete different way of looking at things. So I love the fact that you talked a lot about Michael Gerber, but also your people make really, really good money.
Yeah.
And you set that up for a reason.
It went really, really, a few key hires. My CFO, and the president of our company, Dan Miller. I got very fortunate to meet these guys when they came in, and Jim Leslie is my CTO, my right hand. And I started a podcast also in 2017 called The Home Service Expert. That was the key to success because that was helping me meet the people I needed to meet and it was almost like consulting for me. I'd get like the number one person at HR. I'd get the best lawyer for trademarks. I'd get the number one guy for scorecards in the world. But it didn't really take off for a couple of years. It was just every single week I stayed consistent and I used it. And a lot of people say podcasts, yeah, they don't work. And I'm like, well, it takes a few years. You got to stay consistent and disciplined. But, we got to the point where we were like making lots of money. This year, we're going to do over 200 million.
Which is growing because at the beginning of the year when I heard you speak, it was 150 million.
Yeah. So we're buying
projections
companies.
Are good. You bet.
Projections are good. Budgets are good. But what I'm most proud about is 23% to the bottom line. Because a lot of people talk about this is how many trucks I have. Here's my revenue, but they're not making any money. And what I learned is scorecards and letting the guys make a lot of money. But I don't hire hourly people. I hire people and I say, what are your dreams? What are your goals? What's your bucket list? What do you care about the most? What's your why? And then we kind of reverse engineer how they could do that working within the company. Their wife's got to be involved. Their kids got to be involved. Their parents are involved. They're younger. And they got to let everybody know this is what I'm going for. This is why I'm doing this. And if it's not fun, if you don't enjoy Mondays, then I'm not doing my job or maybe you're not cut out for it. But I hire a certain type of personality that's funny. They have great conversations. Somebody you'd go have a beer with. They understand the eye contact. That sales is kind of inherent in them. But doing the right thing for the client, because I believe in giving options, because if you're not giving options, you're giving ultimatums.
You bet.
Get to know the client. Our best guys run 2 jobs a day. I know plumbers, and plumbing is very similar in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. I know plumbers that run 8 calls a day. I know garage door guys that run 10 calls a day. We run 2 to 3, 4 max, because I want to get to know the client. I want to spend time with them. I want to understand. There's so much that goes into this, especially when you get into flooring and storage. And for some reason, time equals value. And then hearing their story, your son sleeps upstairs. Are you waking him up when you leave in the morning? Have you ever wanted this? Did you ever not close your door when you leave for work? We've got the technology to do that. Are you getting any bugs, scorpions, spiders, rats, snakes? That's the bottom rubber on the garage door that's doing that. And these things take time. So we set up a training center 5-6 years ago, and we're on our 4th iteration. It's state of the art, and it can handle 100 techs. The most I've gotten a month is 55. We're averaging 15 to 20. And, the guys make great money. It's not uncommon for a guy to make 150 grand, but it's one of those things where they've earned it. And we look at a lot more than just your sales. We look at your callback ratio, the ratings you're getting from the customers. And people say, how do you charge that much? I remember I was talking to 40 garage door companies at my place, and they're different companies. And I said, you look at a hot water heater, you can pick one up for $300-400. I had a guy come quote me. I got a lot of hot water heaters at the house. He's like $8,000 a piece. I ended up getting tankless for $4,000 a piece from a guy that does my flips.
Right.
And I said an HVAC unit, the average HVAC unit in Arizona is about $14,000. They're paying $2,000. And I went through all kinds of different industries. And I said, let's just take a 7 multiple. How much do we pay for a good door and opener? A couple grand. So are you charging $14,000 to these 40 companies? And they all looked at each other like, what are you? Like they all double their price. That's it. And I said, so what about $10,000? And they said, how do you sleep at night? One of the guys said that. And I go, well, let me ask you this. How many people are giving PTO, 401ks? How many people give a brand new truck, the state-of-the-art equipment? How many people train for 2.5 months before you get them on the road? How many can you afford to be away from your office for a month and the company will still run right because you have the right people? See, you don't have a business. What you have is a job.
Amen.
And I tell people, listen, my job is to make sure their goals come true. And they set big goals. And this is just a vehicle to get them there. Because I don't believe a real business, nobody gets mad at the pizza guy that pays $2 to make a pizza and sells it for 30. But yet, you pay that much for parts? How much do you think Windex costs when the window cleaners come out there? But yet they charge $400. The misconception is I'm going to follow what everybody else is doing in this industry, who's all losers, not making any money. I'm going to do a little bit more for a little bit less, and I'm going to come in as the best value. But they're not branded correctly. They got this nasty truck, horrible logo that they thought their brother-in-law's uncle made.
Or granddaughter made.
Yeah, it's so bad, but they got so much pride because they're like, people always talk about my trucks. I don't even need a wrap. I'm busy enough. And I'm like, okay, so you work every day in the business, not on the business. What are you doing to hire great? I hear the same thing. I can't find anybody great. Well, are you looking? Because I consider
running calls.
Marketing for me is 60% getting the right people. 40%. When you get the right people, all of a sudden they're getting great reviews. They're recruiting for you. They're working nights and weekends if they have to. They're not complaining. And that's a game changer. Like for me, it changed everything. I remember 2016, I got a guy and I said, he goes, I'm going to show you what sales is all about. He goes, I'm the best in the world at garage doors. And he blew my mind. I studied this guy. And then I learned to kind of replicate what he did. And I'd always challenge him. And I learned to challenge the best. So many people focus on the bottom 20%. I focus on the top.
Yes.
Because if I could prove it's possible, then everybody else kind of sees that this is possible. And it's not about taking advantage of clients. It's about giving them options. Most of the time, a client, you got a 20-year-old door. Yes, we could fix it. But have you ever thought about a new door? And by the way, did you want to use your money today or did you want to use our money?
Yes. I heard you say that and I like that. I actually wrote that one down. You know, we've always been taught, or we always taught our guys, just look, it's not going to cost you anything today. But when you said that, do you want to use your money or do you want to use our money? It's like, dude, that is so good.
These key phrases make a huge difference.
They do, because they stick with people. I mean, I'm in the industry. You said this on a stage. I'm sitting in the back because I'm there as a guest. And you said that, and I'm like, oh, man, that's magic right there. So let's go back. You told me you hired a guy to teach you to paint garage doors. You were selling jobs. You weren't making money. You were paying for it. You were getting an education. What made you want to be really, really good at it?
Well, I think it's how I grew up. There's never a game I play that I don't want to win. I don't play to have fun. I play to win. In business, that's a little bit different because it's a long game. And I don't believe in winners and losers. That's why I wrote the book Elevate. But I want to be number one. One of my core values at A1 Garage Door Service is aspire to be number one. And success leaves clues. So I invest in myself all the time. I have so many coaches. I have so many mentors. I have so many groups of my cohorts. Like I'm on a group with some of the largest HVAC companies in North America that we're texting all day, every day. There's like 8 of them. For me, painting was, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this. And I wanted to be quick, but I wanted to be great. I'm not going to say I didn't take some short. I'd always have them peel the paper off. I say this takes 4 hours to cure. Just rip it all off. It'll come off in one piece because it saved me time.
You bet.
And I always carried like 5 extra filters. Like I just had a fast way of doing it. I actually sat down with the Magnum rep to figure out a way to make it like last longer and stay cleaner. I used special solution in it, but I just figured same thing when I got into garage doors. I went and got trained by 4 different technicians and I got trained by 2 vendors, Wayne Dalton and Clopay. They taught me how to do some stuff that I didn't know how to work on. And I said, isn't there like a school for this? No, there's nothing that teaches this trade. I don't care if I'm playing euchre, pinochle, cribbage, bowling, shooting pool, any type of sport, I want to win. And the way I kind of figured out a cheat code was go find somebody that's way better that I relate to, that will take the time. Because whenever I go golfing and I'm with 3 better guys, I'm not drinking.
Yeah,
I'm focused.
I'm serious. Yeah,
I'm trying to win that. I mean, I might have a beard as the
you bet.
Off,
just to rinse my mouth out.
Yeah, that's right. So for me, it's this competitive spirit. But what I find is as an entrepreneur, a lot of us never are happy. We're always looking for that quick dopamine and serotonin. Like we're like, well, once we're doing $1 million a month, we'll be good. And then all of a sudden you hit that goal. Then you're like, once I'm doing 10 million a month, I'll be good. And what I learned is live in the now. Focus on today and living the best life because tomorrow's not promised. And you never know. And enjoy this time because this one thing, when the kids move out, when they're 18, we're going to be happy. We're finally going to be able to do this stuff. It's always when this happens and then that comes and it never fulfills. And it's something I've been really focused on is living in the now. I'm enjoying every moment. I hopped on a plane to be here. I got a great meeting tonight with another garage door company and I'm enjoying my life. And my main thing is I want people to know that they're better off knowing me. I'm never like, cup is half empty. I'm always looking for inspiration to lift somebody up and saying, you're 3 feet from gold. You're right there. You're one hire away. Because I don't want to go through life saying, those people that the phone rings, you're like, shh. Could be a family member.
You bet.
Could be a best friend.
Could be their spouse.
Unfortunately, that's the case.
I mean, I'm serious.
I say the one thing you can't get rid of is your kids. You got to figure that one out.
Right.
But, I always want to be the guy that when they see my phone ring and it's not, what is Tommy going to ask me for? This is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a fun conversation.
Compare what you did walking in and starting your own business in garage doors to a plumbing company.
Yeah.
Most plumbers are the Michael Gerber. They're the technician.
100%.
Maybe they were a manager. They're not the entrepreneur. I still remember the day thinking about, today I'm an entrepreneur. I was in a conference. I'm wearing a suit, which I quit doing a long time ago. But I'm wearing a suit because it was a group of other entrepreneurs. And at the time I felt like, to fit in, I need to put a suit on. I need to look right. And I remember sitting here on the front row. I'm always front row learners. But I'm sitting on the front row, and literally somewhere along the way, I thought, I'm not a plumber today. I'm an entrepreneur.
Plumber needed to die.
Yeah, you bet. First time I was on a stage with Michael Gerber, we were in San Diego, and it was really funny because I'll tell you the story later about how I got on stage. But I walked up there and we started talking, and he says, "Man, it's a great plan you got. It's wonderful." And he looks at the crowd and says, "Everybody in here think this will work?" And everybody's like, yeah. And he goes to hand me my paper. I'd take it and go back, and I walk off, and he's still holding on to it. And he turned back around. He said, "Roger, this is good except for one thing." I'm like, "Okay." He said, "Sit down." He said, for this to work, you got to fire the plumber. I'm like, "But Michael, I'm the plumber." He said, "I know. You got to fire the plumber." And it was like, wow. And he said, literally, you need to get an office in another building. You don't need to be in there every day. You need to let the plumbing company run itself, get the right people in place. But you've got to fire the plumber. So there were attorneys there. There were doctors. There was all kinds of entrepreneurs. There were probably 40 people in the room. And every time somebody would get up on stage and talk, they'd have a plan for insurance or something. He's like, "Oh my God, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. This is great. This is great." And he'd stop and he'd look for me and say, "Roger, what do we got to do here? Got to fire the plumber. Because if you're the doctor and you're going to be the doctor, you're not going to be the entrepreneur, not the way it needs to be done."
100%.
And you talked about 3 feet short of gold, Think and Grow Rich. We work right up to where we're done. And literally we can be within 3 feet of changing the rest of our lives. And a lot of people give up.
A lot of people. It's not for the faint at heart.
It's not. When you started your business, were there days you're like, "Look, I'm not doing this. I'm done"?
There were some really, really, my mom worked for me in 2010. I had her move out from Michigan, and my stepdad, he lost his job. He was in the automotive industry. Weird time going on for the whole economy. And I said, "Hey guys, Mom, I could give you like $20 an hour, and Bill, I could give you $65,000 a year." And that was a stretch for me. I mean, I had money because I was doing so many things, and I realized if I work hard, I can make a lot of money. I didn't realize I didn't know what building a business was and not having to work in the business. And I just remember one day coming into the office, and it's a Monday, and there's a cop there. My mom's got 3 phone calls. There's 2 people smoking cigarettes outside. People were stealing toilet paper. Anything they could get their hands on, they were stealing. The trucks were in shambles. I was barely making payroll. I was writing myself checks to make payroll, and I'm going, is this worth it? This is what business is? It was literally devastating. And there are times, but anytime we had a bad week, I remember even in 2014 when Adam started, he goes, "Listen, do you mind running a day?" He goes, "We need money." And I was the best salesman for a long time. And I'm like, sure. I didn't mind. I actually enjoyed getting in the truck.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I get to go build relationships. And I find out the HOA president. I get a video testimonial. I'll give him to leave 3 reviews. I'd put out a yard sign. I'd go knock on the neighbors' doors. And then I realized no one's going to be me, or else they'd be the owner. And then I realized if I could get 75% and build systems, damn near 400 technicians, I'm getting 3,000% of what I could do. 3,000%. I learned a lot about manuals, standard operating procedures, and I used to get upset. Why did you do it this way? No one ever taught me otherwise. And then you show somebody doesn't mean they learned it. They got to show you back. And then I learned how to delegate. And what I know now is I think, and this might sound a little cocky, but I think I could almost walk into any home service company and make way more money than they're making now, because I know what to focus on, because as entrepreneurs, we're trying to do everything. And there are times where every entrepreneur wants to walk out. I've had bad things. I've had a couple of guys die. I had one guy in a gunfight because of his wife doing something. I had another guy get hit in the face with a firework, knocked his head down, died. I mean, talk about tough. I mean, we've hired thousands of people over the years. And, I never really understood this when my dad would say it, but he'd say, I wish I knew at your age what I know now. And I'm going, well, just tell me. And I didn't realize how much that experience, that pain,
You bet.
that hitting rock bottom. You don't know what good is till you hit rock bottom. And, tough times make strong people. And I believe that. And I went through a lot of tough times. I mean, till 2 years ago, I was we owned the apartment complex that we have all the technicians staying, but I was in a 1,000 square foot apartment. I decided to live there. I have other houses. And then, we got to this number, and I had a board of advisors, and Tom Howard from Service Titan, he owns a bunch of stuff, flew out, and he says, I think you should seriously think about bringing on private equity. COVID flew up the multiples. He goes, but here's the deal, Tommy. The IPO market is in shambles. It cut in half. He goes, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. And I said, well, let's go back to my apartment. And we started whiteboarding. Then we watched The Big Short. And I said, I called Dan Miller, the president, and he'd only been working for me for about a year. I said, it's time to go. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, we're going to bring on equity. And the biggest reason why is I had all these NDAs signed. And I was writing LOIs, letters of intent to buy companies. And I had a delayed draw term loan for $20 million. And I'm like, this is going to be gone quick. And they wanted 90 days of when I buy a company, financials after I bought them, before they'd loan again. So either could I 10X on this path or 2X and take all the risk on this side. And then I called Ken Goodrich with Gettle. He was on my board.
Love Ken.
And he
Again,
goes,
Michael Gerber.
He's a Michael Gerber guy.
You bet.
He said to me, he says, Tommy, he goes, I would trade everything I have in my life to be in your shoes. He goes, at the time I was 39. He goes, with what you're going to learn with what these guys do, they're financial strategists. They learn to use debt. They learn to raise funds. He goes, I need you to be a sponge, and I need you to really ask a lot of questions and suck this all in. Well, we got the 27 million of EBITDA, and we set a multiple, a record for the multiple, and then I rolled 47%. We got lucky.
Which is phenomenal. Michael says roll 11.
Yeah.
Roll 11.
Yeah, I went big because I believe in this so much. So our plan, we sat down and they gave us this PowerPoint. When they sat it on the desk, they said, we need you to make your company look like this. It was about 50 slides, mostly financials, different KPIs, different stuff with the fleet, the call center. And then they said, you guys are going to add on to this what you want to see, Tommy. And so now it's like 140 slides, but they went and circled things the first 30 days. They're like, this is wrong. You need to work on this. And we were at 17%. We went to 23%. We'll get to 30%. And then people think I'm just going to go buy companies. It's so hard to buy a company. Integrations are everything. You're taking over a different culture. But we have a plan. It's a 3-year plan. We're already almost a year into it to get to 110 million of EBITDA and set another record. And then I'm going to roll again. But at that point, I think what I'd like to do is be the chief visionary officer. I'm super passionate about it. It's like my baby, but I want to do some stuff, and I'll always be part of A1. That's not going anywhere, but we got some big goals. And in the first deal, we had an equity incentive program for the management and 25 millionaires came out of it. And I felt really, really excited because I don't want to be popping the champagne bottle by myself.
Takes the fun out of it.
It does. So that worked out well, and everybody was running in the same direction. And now it's a pretty large goal. We're pacing for with the companies we bought. We'll do just under 50 million this year of EBITDA, and we need to get to 110 in 2025. How do you do that? We got to buy 20 companies, and we got to integrate them properly. And so we got to grow 30% organically and 30% with acquisitions each year, compounding. And it sounds simple, but there's, we got to reinvent the wheel every month.
You got to buy the right companies.
Buy the right companies, hire the right people. We just got a new VP of marketing. Guy's super, super sharp. And he says, what do you need from me? I said, I need you to double our lead flow by this time next year, double. And I said, you focus on that and I'll work with you. And I'm going to focus on making sure the right technicians fill these spots. And it's not uncommon for a great technician to do over $1 million, which is, I don't know what plumbers do. I could imagine if you're digging down trenches and stuff, it's more, but.
Yeah, you can do, a good plumber can do 1 to 3.
Really?
A really good plumber.
One guy?
Really good, yeah. He may have an apprentice with him, but. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Like, I know companies that have 5 technicians not doing $1 million. And they say, what's the secret? And I'm like, be a sponge, read books, success leaves clues, go visit shops, visit my shop. Now we're extreme now because you can't go from 2 million to 200 million because the stuff we do doesn't make sense for these smaller companies. So I'm like, find somebody that's 10 million. And if you're 10 million, find somebody that's 30 million. But it really comes down to, I can tell you this, it comes down to the people. And I used to hate when people say culture. I thought that was a 4-letter word. Till I realized, all of a sudden I got golden tea. I got cruising the world. I started making pancakes for guys in the morning, making sure they had Gatorades to go out. And I started to get to know their wives and their kids. And then I started to find out what they want. And then some people, just these little gestures of kindness. And I want to be somebody that they want to work with, not for.
Yes.
They want to run with me, and they want to see what's in it for them. And we just jumped out of a plane 2 months ago with 12 of the guys. We take them on a Pinnacle trip if they do over $1 million. And we just gave 14 guys equity of the company, technicians. And that's what I told the PE company is these guys are like our lifeblood.
You bet.
So you can't explain how much fun it could be when things are going well. And now, the journey's so much fun. And you see these guys, when they sell their company, it's like they lose their identity. And I'm like, this is just your first chapter. There's more to do. Look at KFC. Colonel Sanders started in his 60s and built an empire.
So I had a lady call me from Oklahoma about a month ago. She says, look, I'm wanting to sell. I want to know what you know about it. So, I've sold mine, so I know a little bit, but let's talk. I said, tell me what kind of numbers you're doing. And the numbers came out, 6 million a year, 40% profit.
2.4.
I said, don't sell. She said, what do you mean? I said, if you're making 40% profit, why sell? You're never going to get any better than that. And so anyway, we talked. She calls me back 2 days later. She said, I think I found a way I can keep it. It's like, I would, if I'm doing 40% profit, she wants to get out and open another company anyway, doing the same thing. So it's like, look, there's going to be non-disclosures, non-competes, all this. So look, if you're doing that kind of profit margin, what for a trade company, you said you're getting to 30%? Or at
We're at
30%?
23% right now.
Okay, trying to get to 30.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best profit margin for a trades company that you've ever heard of that was sustainable?
You don't really hear about a lot of companies doing over 20.
Yeah, no, I told her I would be happy with 15 to 20, and she said 40, and I'm like,
40
are you sure we're talking the same number?
That's one of the things where I really like to look at is data integrity and making sure the money's really, because I found out, because I'm looking at a lot of companies daily, I found out that a lot of people don't use GAAP accounting, general accepted accounting principles. A lot of people are on accrual, they're on cash, and they've got all these ad backs that really aren't considered ad backs. So 40% seems crazy, but here's how you get to 40%. You're in business for a long time. You've got a lot of invoices out there. You got a lot of stickers out there. You got a lot of repeat business. You got a lot of service agreements. If you can bring your marketing budget down to 2%, I could see you getting over 30%. 40 still seems high. Because I think a fair number of marketing percentage of revenue is 10%.
Now they're not doing service. This is all new construction.
That's crazy.
It is, because I'm like, that's a harder number to make it on, to me. I mean, I used to be a commercial superintendent, and
new construction, I stay away from that because that ebbs and flows as the economy ebbs and flows. I like retrofit, garage door repair, and installation. Now, I've got a lot of opportunities to buy new construction. It's a different animal that we've never really wanted to get great at. Most companies that evolve tell you the problem with new construction is they hate customers. Mm-hmm. They never learn to interact with clients. They just don't get the same multiple. They just don't.
No, they've got everybody bidding. The lowest bidder wins.
But the multiple when you sell the company,
True.
No one's going to pay up for that.
Right.
But what happens with new construction is over a decade, it turns into a great retrofit because all those, for me, stickers are gold.
Oh, yeah.
But then they're like, we hate service. They're like, we're not open nights and weekends where we run our guys 8 calls a day. We got 20 on the new install crew. We got 2 technicians because they kind of have to. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out a way just to buy that business, that side of it. Like, I'll take over all the service side. Keep doing what you're doing, rebrand. No one cares who's fulfilling for the builders. Let me take over the brand because you guys are getting 60 calls a day.
But the bad thing is, a lot of these new construction people, they don't put stickers out. They don't want to call back. They're like, hey, look, we hope you never call us. And it's like, do y'all understand what you're doing here?
They started out with a technician mindset, and most people get into business to make a living instead of building a business. Mm-hmm. But yet years go by, 20, 30 years, and they say, this is all I've got. This is my retirement. But they should have gotten into that from day one. Build a company to sell it. John Warlow, Built to Sell.
Love it.
Build a business that's worth a lot of money. And don't get attached because you could go on and do the next one. I think there's so much money. Like, the reason I'm starting Home Service Freedom, I got a Freedom event in Orlando, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And the whole purpose is you don't have to sell. Well, let's build a business that's worth a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And it's about EBITDA. It's about profit because you're entitled to a very healthy profit. So we're going to build a business that you can sell if you choose to. And when I show them that they could have $10 million, your kids don't want this business.
No, they don't.
And either you're going to die, you're going to give it away, or you're going to cash out. Why not live a little? And I didn't know what living was till this check hit my account. And the first thing I did is wire out 40 people. I helped, my mom, they earned it. But,
you bet.
Not even the 25, 40 more people. And I said, I'm the type of guy that I'm like, you guys have done so much for me. This is just a kind gesture. But I'm like, why don't we go on a trip? And I'm like, now my dad just turned 70. Every one of his siblings came. He's got 12 kids in his family, right? The 12, 6 brothers, 6 sisters. And it's just being able to do those things to create those memories. Money's a tool for me. And it's important when you don't have it. But now I'm like, whatever I want to do, I just do it. The money's working harder for me now than it ever has. And now I know why the rich get richer. Now it's like I got these tax advisors. I got a family office. I got a special attorney. I've got I got a CFO just for the money, not including what A1's doing.
Uh-huh.
I got Goldman Sachs. I was on the phone with them for an hour today talking about strategy.
It's a whole different world now, isn't it?
It's crazy. And I was like, that's legal? So that it's called tax loss harboring. So we invest in Fortune 500 companies. The day it drops, we sell it. We buy it back in 30 days. We recognize those losses. So even though I'm up so much, we're up 14% this year. It shows I've taken a loss. And that's legal.
You bet.
I mean, accelerated depreciation. When I buy a building, I do cost segregation studies. I bought it in an opportunity zone. There's all these things out there, but no, the government doesn't want you to know about this.
I like the interview with Trump. They said, you don't pay taxes. He's like, that makes me smart.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to a tax guy one day. He says, look, says the tax code is about half an inch thick, telling you every dollar you make is taxable this many different ways. And then the rest of the book tells you how to not pay taxes on every one of those. And it's like, you get the right people that understand that, you can make that work. One thing I like to talk to people about is, and you talked about it, build a company to sell. I try to tell people, build a company you don't want to sell. Make it so good. Like, look, I don't want to get rid of this. I built it perfect. It does things right. We make money. Profit margins are good. Got the right people doing this, doing that. Because then if you've got a business you don't want to sell, what's the EBITDA worth? What's the multiplier on it?
Well, especially if you're not involved in it. I mean, literally, I never wanted to sell for 5X. But when you're talking about high teens, low 20s, I'm telling you, when you learn how to build it and go through a process, there was 84 companies that looked at our deal. 40 of them bid on us. It came down to 5. Partnered with a great company. The most important thing was I'm still going to be the CEO. I need to find a great partner. I'm putting a lot of money back in this. And these guys are just like, they're steroids. They're pumping steroids into the business all the time. They're connection. I'm using them for everything they're worth. And they're great friends of mine now. And if you had an ability to build a business, I could start a plumbing company today. And I guarantee you, because I have money, I could be at $2 million of EBITDA within 18 months. That business, I think I could easily get $20 million for. Now, let's just say it's kicking off 20%. That's $400,000. It'll take me 20 years to get that back, plus all the risk. So it's a mathematical game that you say, okay. And then when you get a reputation of building really strong businesses, getting great leaders in place, putting the SOPs, the right branding in place, everybody wants to buy those businesses. You'll sell it before you even need to. So I think you look at private equity, what they're doing, they're leveraging other people's money and they're giving them great returns. And I'm looking at this going, I don't think I'll ever hold on to a company more than 5 years anymore. Why would I? Here's the great thing. Listen to this. You build software, you get a 15X on revenue. I mean, I talked to Ara today, Ara Modestian. He's the CEO of Service Titan. I talked to Roland, the CEO of a house called Pro. Like, I'm really in touch with all these things because I'm helping out a lot of contractors. And the one thing that I see, the biggest mistake I see with most contractors is first thing they do is they go buy the nice house. Then they buy the BMW and the Range Rover. And they put their kids in private school to go on the vacations. And their lifestyle is above their means. And therefore, they're sucking the business dry all the time. And they go, I can't get great people. I'm like, it's delayed gratification. You need to reinvest that. And I was very strict. I reinvested. I didn't buy a new truck until every single one of my technicians had a new truck. I said, I didn't need it. I'm not married. I don't have kids.
Right.
I'm definitely going to get married and I want kids, but it served a purpose because I didn't have these obligations at the time when I was growing the business. So
besides garage doors, what's next for you?
There are companies right now that I'm looking at, that I'm talking to. One of them's doing $7 million of EBITDA. I think we could get it to 40 in 3 years. What's 40 times 20? 800 million. If I take a 20% stake in that, then the thing is, he's not looking for me to come in and be the CEO. He's looking to bounce ideas of how will you grow into new markets. I'm in 40 markets. He's looking at how to attract A players. How do you make the software work for you? How do you dial in the KPIs? How do you get data integrity? How do you build a proper budget? 7 million is a big number, but to go to 40, and people are like, there's no way, that's not real. You can't get $800 million. I'm like, you don't know the guys I know. They'll pay all day for this. What's a safer bet than betting on home service? We're COVID proof.
Yeah.
A hotel gets slow.
We're essential no matter what.
We are essential. And that's what's so great. When do you think AI is going to take over a plumber's job?
I've had that conversation many times.
When do you think it's going to take over a developer's or a content manager's job? The next 2 years.
Yeah.
What do they tell all these kids in the last 10 years? Become great at software. Then ChatGPT came out, figured everything out.
We don't need that anymore.
We're in a very, very, very secure position. And that's why every major person who's got lots of money is saying, where's my money the safest? Where can it grow? More houses are being built. Things get old, they break down, and no one wants to do it anymore. It's supply and demand. There's not enough plumbers. The average plumber is over 50 years old. When you look at the average plumbing age, and so my average person's 27. People say, how do you find these millennials that want to work? I'm like, they're not the same. Baby boomers wanted to just work hard, get their overtime, get paid. They went to work. The people I'm around, they want to feel involved. They want to know there's a career path. They want to know what's going on. They want this work-life balance, but I give it to them. Because I'm like, but I mix them both. Like, we could do things together. We go bowling all the time. We do a lot of fun things. I mean, we're in 40 markets, so there's things going on all the time everywhere.
Somebody's listening now. They're just getting out of high school, just getting out of college at that age, or they've had a job at Taco Bell for 5 years. They hate their life. What trade would you recommend for them to get into based on what you see coming in the future?
If you're talking home service, I definitely think, depending on what happens with next year's election, green energy to a certain extent. I think solar is going to come a long way. Batteries. I think EV cars are coming a long way. But what I would tell you is I would go into something with a high average ticket: roofing, solar, plumbing, HVAC, even gutters. There's concrete coating, high-end landscaping, because I run 18,000 jobs a month. I mean, we are a marketing machine. Do you know how much money I would be making if I was doing plumbing, 18,000 jobs a month?
Oh, yeah.
My buddy's a plumber in Ohio, eco plumber. Aaron Gaynor is going to do $60 million this year just in Columbus. It would be billions and billions and billions of dollars. And it's the same customer. But what I love about the garage industry is it's kind of untapped. I'm the only platform out there right now. But I would tell someone young, what do you like to do? No one says I want to go work on hot water heaters. When you walk in a house and somebody's having a problem and you offer coffee on the way, what can I get you, hot or cold? You show up, you play with the dog, you learn about them, which I enjoy doing. You could talk about current events or whatever. They give you a hug afterwards. They make you dinner. It's like you get a lot of self-gratification. Mm-hmm. And I would say it's something that the people that I get to work with, they love what they do. Yesterday, I could read you a story, but the moral of the story was this guy went out, this lady's house in Milwaukee, and she walked outside and he was winding her spring, and she started bawling. And she said, my husband just had a heart attack trying to wind that spring 2 months ago. And he started crying. She was crying. And then at the end of it, he said, I'm not going to charge you for this. We're just going to take care of you. And then she started crying again. And he sends me a picture of all of his kids and his wife. And he says, this is my why. And I was like, I get goosebumps thinking about it, because those are the things that we do. And there's so much more than what people look at. Mm-hmm. They look at that and they go, that's a tradesman. And I'm like, no, we're a tradesman.
You bet.
We're the best. They don't make them like us anymore. And I think more kids, I want to go speak at high schools. I want to do that. No, I don't want to charge.
I love doing that.
I just want to tell people, listen, you want to talk about a good business? I bought a house to be able to have my family over and all my employees over. I'm doing a couple of things to it. It's 25,000 square feet. It's a little big. But I got 2 dogs and a girlfriend. But do you know how many people, every week, if you ever come to town, you're staying with me. And, there's privacy, and we have fun, man. I'm building a new pool. I'm putting a lazy river. And for me, it's about these experiences. And so people are like, you can't let employees come see that house. I'm like, they did it. This is where you build relationships. When I built the training center, everybody, their jaws dropped. They said, this is how you get great people. This is how you train them. And I said, man, if I could, why not buy a house? You could have this life too. And it's not about the material things, but the memories I've already created in this house, you can't buy those.
Yeah. And
that's what I looked at. How could I have something? I got 3 Golden Tees, big buck hunter. I got the cruise in the worlds. I got the pool, then we bought a house in Idaho we're building. I'm headed there this weekend. And I'm like, there will be employees, friends, cousins, neighbors. This isn't for me. This isn't, oh, look at me. In fact, I hate telling people. I hate acting like I have money. I don't want people to look at me for money. I want them to look at me because we could create amazing relationships and have a great time.
It's so funny. The night I met you, the night before you spoke, you're sitting at the bar talking to a couple of guys in Nashville.
Yep.
And I heard y'all talking, and I'm like, okay, they're tradespeople. And I was talking to 2 guys down here, and we needed another round. So I said, you know what, get them around too, because I knew I used to be a bartender. Getting late. I know last call's coming. And so I send you a drink, and y'all finish talking all that. You get ready to leave. You come over, and you're like, so do you know who I am? And I'm like, no idea. And you're like, well, man, I just want to say thanks. I said, you're welcome. And got to talk to you the next day, or actually gave you my number that night. I said, look, man, love to have you on a podcast. You're a tradesperson, and this is where all this came from. But you're just one of these people. I'm going to sit down at the bar, have a drink with you. How's everything going? I love that. It doesn't matter where I go, I can find my people.
Yeah.
And we're not hard to find.
No.
You know, look for the work boots. Dude, how are you doing?
Yep.
Everybody looks down on tradespeople. And I used to have a thing on my Facebook page said, underestimate me, that'll be fun. A couple of my quotes, my sayings, you know, blue collar workers are the original thought leaders. We walk in with bubble gum, baling wire, and a pair of pliers, and we can fix anything. And that's the way I look at tradespeople. Tradespeople are a lot smarter than people give them credit for. And I get messages from people all the time saying, look, I don't want to go to college, but my parents are forcing me to. I want to be a plumber. I want to be an electrician. I want to do this. How do I approach my parents? I'm like, man, just be honest with them. Say, look, I want to figure life out. Let me work for a year or two as a plumber or an electrician. Let me learn something. Let me get a job instead of going to college and then trying to figure out what I want to be. And I love that mindset of kids these days saying, look, I want to work. I want to learn. I don't want to just go to school. If you knew, if a young man, young woman called you and said, Tommy, look, I don't want to go to college. How do I talk to my parents about it? What would you tell them?
I'd ask for their parents' phone number. And what I would do is I'd call Ken Goodrich, Aaron Gaynor, or another dozen friends. And I said, let's jump on a Zoom call.
I like that.
I'd say, Aaron has got a great story. He held his son up, Chase, 1 year old, living on his mom's couch. They're both sleeping on a couch, 1 year old. And he looked at Chase and he picked him up like this. And he said, I promise you, Chase, this is not going to be our life. He had a huge why behind it. And I'd explained that all of us came from nothing. We built this business out of necessity. And when people understand, it's crazy. This guy pulled up on the boat on Sandpoint. It's Ponderay Lake. Beautiful boat. And this is like 2 months ago. And he jumps on our boat, cracks open a beer. And I haven't been drinking for the last 2 months. I'm just trying to like get my body right. But I'm like, I'm not drinking right now. And he goes, well, listen, man. He's like, you seem great. And he's just, I go, you know, it's a really nice boat. And one of the guys says, hey, you should see his house. And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, I'm a plumber. He goes, I'm one of the biggest plumbers in town. He goes, I got more work than I could even handle. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. I'm a garage door guy. And we're both blue collar. We're hitting it off.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I don't think, we're kind of like the silent majority. We're out there hustling all the time, working our ass off. You don't see us a lot because we're not the banker at everything. But I've been around the trades long enough to know most trades, once you get past that 5th year, you're a millionaire. And that's more than I could say for pretty much any other career. What, a dentist? Highest suicide rate? You're in debt till you're 47. I was pre-dental, so I know a lot about dental. What are you going to do? Go a doctor 12 years in, then you're debt till you're 50? You look at every career, and I think home service is, where are you going to learn eye contact, tonality, body language, the right words to use, to believe in yourself? When are you going to learn hard work ethic? You're going to learn KPIs. You're going to learn how to get along with others, coworkers. You're going to bring in your family. Like, these are, I guess because I'm in it, I believe so passionately about it. But I think if I got on the phone with anybody, I say, let me give you 5 of my technicians that have bought a house in the last 90 days. Let me show you what they're driving. Let me show you the vacations they go on. It's not a dirty job. I mean, people think about a plumber and they say, yeah, all they do is clean out nasty, poopy drains.
All day long, you bet.
It's not what you do. It's like 1/10 of it.
Oh, no.
1/100th.
Yeah, maybe 250 work days in a year, maybe once. You're actually touching poop.
You think about like the toilet. That's what you think about. And it's like, if I was a plumber, the first thing I would do is I would say, listen, let's get this work started. Here's your options. And then I would say, listen, while I'm here, I've got a checklist. I'm going to check the garbage disposal. I'm going to check every toilet. I'm going to tell you some options we could do. I've got things that are much more economical as far as water conservation, but I'm going to learn if that's what they're interested in. Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk about the hot water heater. I'm going to talk about, does it get warm enough in this room? We've got an option for this. I want to be offered more when people come into my home. And I'm like, you leave so much on, I feel like so many trades leave so much on the table. It's amazing to me. I look at it and I'm going, what do you guys, I don't know how some people are profitable. And they brag.
Oh, yeah.
They brag that they're the cheapest. They brag that they don't need wrap trucks. They brag that they can pay their people less money. They're so proud. They're like, oh, no, man, I would never charge those prices. Well, because you're not worth it. You don't show up the same day. You don't train your people. You're working in the business. When you're not there, there's fires.
Yeah.
And what's the first thing you need to do? When you wonder when everything's failing, look in the mirror. You want to know why people don't work hard for you? Because you're a lousy leader. Mm-hmm. You want to know why things are not going right and customers aren't calling? Because you're crap. You want to know why your guy got in a car accident? Because you didn't train him any better. You didn't give him a safe truck to drive it. People always want a scapegoat. They want to say, and technicians do too, I'm in a bad area. The dispatcher doesn't like me. It's easy for you to say, Obama or Bidenomics is screwing us over. Whatever it is, they always got a reason.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of owners have reasons. They want to be there for all the good stuff, but they say, oh, man, you don't know how hard it is. You don't even know what I'm dealing with. And I'm like, well, you're all over the place. You don't even know you don't know what you're going to focus on this week. You're a firefighter. You walk in and you're the only one that knows that account. You're the only one that knows what to do about that one star that just came in. You're the only one that knows how to do the payroll adjustments. And you wonder, why don't you train somebody? Well, nobody listens. Nobody does it like me. They're never going to be you. And the day that you accept that, and people like to hire people that are a little dumber than them.
Blows my mind.
They like to go, they want to have an edge. I hire people so much smarter than me. I want to be the dumbest guy in my company.
It makes it nice, doesn't it?
I'm gone right now.
You bet. And you're not worried about anything, are you?
I'm not worried about it. In fact, when I leave, we set records. I mean, listen, I'm the gas pedal that's always pushing the gas. Uh-huh. But my main thing is I've worked myself almost out of a job. So my job is to make sure that everybody just stay the course, hit the budget, continue to set big goals. My main job is to pull the right people, right customers, right acquisitions, right employees in, motivate everybody and set the tone for the culture. Keep everybody unsiloed, because when you get this size, the call center is more worried about the call center than the good of the company. So that's really what I focus on now. And it wasn't easy, but I just never would have thought. People ask me, did you ever think you could be a billionaire a few years ago? I was like, I always thought I could if I put my mind to something, but now it really seems like within 3 years. And I mean, that's not something I'm like, I'm a billionaire, look at me. But it's like $1 billion? At 10% interest, that's $100 million. That's $2 million a week.
It's not a bad gig, is it?
And at 7 years, at 10%, it doubles.
Uh-huh.
And this is just, I'm 40. I'm just getting started. And I've been enlightened. Listen, I told you, I got 2 speaking coaches. I got 5 sales coaches. I'm always investing in myself. I never believe I arrived. And I don't plan on that. I'll never retire, because what's retirement mean? I'm still going to be busy, but in a perfect world, I'll be fishing. I'll be on the golf course. I'll be enjoying the time in Sandpoint, Idaho, and building relationships. And the billionaires I do know, they're not great at anything. They're great at networking. They're great at asking questions. They're great at finding the best help. The millionaires I know, they get up at 5 a.m. They cold plunge. They go in and they've got all these things they do, and they're very disciplined. But the billionaires, they don't get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
They make the right phone call. They hire the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. Don't listen to millionaires anymore. Find the billionaire friend and watch what they do. They delegate almost everything. Joe Polish, a good buddy of mine, knows Richard Branson. And he goes, when's the last time you've done laundry? He goes, never done laundry. I don't even know how. He goes, when's the last time you've been to a grocery store? He goes, I don't even know what a grocery store looks like inside. He goes, I've seen it in movies. He's like, I don't do that. And I've always said, buy back your time. Do you think I don't mind skimming the pool or cleaning up the dog poop or taking the dogs for a walk or mowing the lawn, but it's not the best use of my time anymore.
Absolutely.
If I was passionate about doing it, people say, well, if I had kids and I was trying to be a mentor and just be involved in the housework, but for me, it serves no purpose to do that. So I buy back my time everywhere I can. The time I give away my hours is when I find somebody that was me 10 years ago, and I'll just do it for free. I don't need their money. But I look at everything and I say, this is an opportunity cost. So I buy back my time. And like I said, I'm spending a lot of money on my health right now. I'm on 4 peptides. I'm working out every day. I'm drinking a gallon of water. I'm making sure I'm sleeping correctly. And I feel better. I feel like I could fight a bull. Like I had 275 on the bench the other day. I didn't know the trainer would put that on. I did it for 12. He's like, dude, you're getting freaking strong. And my body's changing. And I'm starting to look in the mirror and being a little bit happier with myself. And I'm just challenging myself. And the way I got that is I had 5 people do it with me.
Well, at about 45, I went to the doctor to get my shoulder operated on. And when I walked in, he said, so what do you bench? I said, 350. He said, why? What do you mean, why? Because I can. He said, no, at your age, you don't need to be bench pressing 350. I'm like,
you get hurt.
You bet, yeah.
And I focus. So there's this thing called time under attention.
Mm-hmm.
And what I started focusing on is the negatives in perfect form and going up and down. You got to lift heavy weight, but when it's perfect form, it doesn't need to be as heavy.
Systematically, yes.
And my cousin told me, she goes, Tommy, you're a great speaker. You're a great author. You're very wealthy. You got a great business. But why don't you love yourself? I said, I do. She said, no, you don't. Look at you. You're drinking. You're sloppy. You're not taking care of your brain. You don't eat right. And I was like, that was a shot. That was a real shot. And I was like, okay, asshole.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I went to the doctor, got a urine test, blood test, saliva test, and he said, you got leaky gut. You got some testosterone issues with your free testosterone, this, that, and the other. He said, in 90 days, this will all be good if you commit to this. And then I called a bunch of buddies. They decided to do it. And just the right people. My executive assistant gives me all my protein shakes all day. Like, she's got a timer. She gives me the vitamins and all that stuff. And I made it easy for me. And, you know, the alcohol comes, and that everybody's like, there's no way you're going to be able to go without drinking. And I'm like, that's not the hardest thing is consuming 250 grams of protein a day.
Mm-hmm. Somebody starting out a business right now, what would you tell them to make the phone ring?
All right, so this is my jam. You are just in business. Now, well, first thing I would tell you is don't go into business if you're broke. Have a savings account. Save up. Don't just quit your job. Have 20 grand in the bank.
Which is what a lot of technicians do.
And that's what, when they're starting from zero, it's feast or famine. And they do things they would normally not do. They got to compete on price. They got to get the job. They got to go cheap. And you waste several years. So get a nest egg. Have a contingency plan. Have enough for a few months of payroll. Just get the first things first. If you still got a job in that trade, start building manuals. Build up standard operating procedures of how you do things. The way you like them done, take pictures and put it together. You got to train your first great technician. You need to emulate what that needs to be your way. But what I would say to get the phone to ring is the first thing you start out with is the brand. A lot of people are the dumbest effing brands I've ever heard of. They call it their last name. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it needs to be distinctive, but it needs to say what you do.
And that's not sellable. I mean, it is, but it's not optimally sellable.
Like Gettle is a weird name, but it's been around for so long, it makes sense. So what I would say is get an uncontestable trademark. Get everything copywritten. Go see somebody like Dan Antonelli at Kick Charge. Invest 30 grand into the brand. And people go, I don't have 30 grand. And I'm like, then you'll never be able to charge the price. You'll never get the great employees to come work for you. You'll never build the symmetry out there, because once you get the right brand, the cost per click goes down, the click-through rate goes up. All these things that I look at, the KPIs for marketing, are 10 times enhanced. People go, well, I can't afford that. Well, why are you getting into business if you can't afford to do the things it takes to build a business? So you could do an SBA loan. So you brand correctly, and I always say Google is God. There's 4 algorithms on Google: pay-per-click, LSA, Google My Business page, and organic. So you got to build a really nice website with the top 10 FAQs with videos that show people your trucks. Put the trucks on the cover page of the website.
You bet.
And then what I would do if I were them is I would personally go out, and it's all about relationships. I go to B&I meetings and make sure there's a yard sale. I'd be getting video testimonials. I'd have somebody at $500 a month, a VA, chopping up the videos and posting them on social. I'd have everybody that I know share them. And one of the things I do is at every single house I go to, I'd be given free tune-ups. I'd get a Google review, a Yelp review, a Nextdoor review, a video testimonial for social media. And then I would ask them if they know anybody great that I could go work on. And I'd say, listen, is there a neighbor that you could give me their number while I'm here? And I'd find out the HOA president. And I start to build the relationships. I think there's nothing better than grassroots approach. That's guerrilla marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so Google's God. And then I would get in a mailer and I'd sell anything else that no one else is selling. Like I see, like what I did with my springs is I got 80,000 cycle springs, which are taller than me. And I powder coated them. Apples to apples, I'm selling oranges. They're trademarked. No one else carries that. I sell packages. And no one could ever see everything I sell is packages. And so I don't want to compete on price. So when somebody says tune up for $39, I'll have a tune up with Deco hardware kit and rollers or a bottom rubber to keep the bugs out for $119. But you're getting a lot more bang for your buck.
Absolutely.
And that's
you're getting
getting me in
value.
the door. And that's the deal for me is you got to get different. Don't compete on price. Most people go out, they look at everybody's pricing and they do a little bit less, like I said, for a little bit more for a little bit less. And they don't realize they're copying people that are broke. And I always tell people, raise your prices. Build a price book to know you're making a percentage of profit. You got to take the time to build the right price book. And people say, I can't charge those prices. And I'm like, well, if you don't believe in your product and your prices, then you might as well not be in business. Because I know how much it costs.
And if you want to make money, you will charge these prices.
But then they go, my conversion rate sucks, and everybody says we're the most expensive, and customers are saying no, and I'm like, well, where are you marketing? Your name is
Craigslist.
Yes. Some Facebook marketing. Yeah. You're in a mailer. You're in Clipper magazine, and the name of your company is Discount Plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect?
And you want to know why you can't charge much?
You attract the worst clients.
You bet.
You start marketing to the affluent. I got people that spend $100,000. When you use financing, what happens is they'll get maximum qualified. So if we put in their information, it says they qualified for $30,000. When the client sees $30,000, they're like, well, let's just do the nicer stuff.
You bet.
And these are things that take time. But I'll tell you this, the technician mindset is, he's got to be making a lot of money. He's charging so much money. And I'm like, there's a great exercise Alan Ferguson taught me. You know Alan Ferguson?
Another name.
He's from Australia.
Okay.
But you add up all of your bills and you kind of figure out what you need to charge per hour. And I've never seen a great company do this when you think about sick time and the time on the road and the time they got to meet up for inventory and the meetings and everything else. I've never seen a really good company that's able to charge less than $400 an hour. And I know people are going to be watching this going, I would never pay $400 an hour. Well, if you're paying your guy $20, he's got insurance, you got workers' comp, you got the vehicle you're paying, you got the gas, you got the CSR, the dispatcher, the warehouse guy, you've got the management, you've got the CFO or the accountant, you've got the marketing dollars that went into that. Do you think we're going to charge $20 when we pay $20 an hour? I mean,
that's what they think.
Do you think we got to charge for the time on the road and the time to go get the inventory? People say I found it cheaper on Amazon. There's no warranty. And you want me to come out the same day? And you want me to be back there if it doesn't work? When you do the math, and I'm sorry, I've done this with hundreds of companies. Nobody's ever came out at less than $400 when you add up all the expenses. Because you're not just paying for the technician's time, you're paying for the whole company to show up the same day. You got to have a CRM. You got to have air conditioning in the building. We live in Phoenix. They got to be in a cool environment.
Somebody's got to mow the grass.
There's so many expenses. There's iPads. There's office supplies. There's toilet paper for the people. They want nice things. They want a 401k. In this day and age, if you're not doing PTO, 401k, you're not doing a trip with the people, you're not buying them breakfast.
Yep.
And then the people always say, well, I got a company that could do it cheaper. And I'm like, well, where are they? Oh, they're not.
Then why'd you call me?
This happens all the time. We got a guy that we like to use. Well, the guy is making a living and he's no longer around and he used cheap parts. Do you want somebody coming out every 2 months, every 6 months, every year? Because I know when we fix it right. I still don't believe we're the most expensive. I believe we're the best value. I know there's companies that charge more than us, but we give options. And we've got a 5-star option that comes with everything, the surge protector, you name it. And people could price shop us, and I'm like, well, why don't they're giving you a 2-star? I could do it for the same price as that. What do you want? And when we find out what's important for the person, we listen to what they're saying, and we give them options. I want to go over 6 options for you. Well, why don't you pick one you like when I get done? This is what you need to do. This is what you should do. And if you were my mom worked 3 jobs to save our house in Michigan. She was a hard worker. This is what I would do for mom, based on what you've told me. And you look people directly in the eye, and you don't need to lie, cheat, or steal. You lie, cheat, or steal for me, you get fired. Yeah. You're gone. That's it.
Used to tell my plumbers that I ever catch you ripping off one of our customers, I will help the police file charges against you.
Well, the thing is, it's almost impossible to rip off my customers because we got a price book. We every job we go to, we take 40 pictures, minimum. We weigh every single garage door. It's systematic. The CRM makes things. Without Service Titan or a great CRM, we would never be able to be in 20 states. That's cool. I know what's going on in every single market. I know what's going on every single morning mojo call where we pump the guys up, talk about the big wins from yesterday, not any of the losses. None of my meetings are negative. None of my meetings start out as, you guys could do better. You guys got to want more. Blah, 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 blah. You're just talking at people. I bring a guy on and I say, dude, you made $3,000 your second week here.
How good is that?
What are you going to do next week? What are you learning? What was something you changed that felt great that you should share with everybody? And when they share that, I mean, our guys love these meetings because they're like, oh my God. One guy goes, I stopped wearing tennis shoes. I started wearing work boots. And I go, okay. And he goes, my tickets have doubled since I did that. People think I'm a worker.
It's a mindset thing.
And I said, okay. And all of a sudden next week, everybody has work boots on.
You bet.
I got to tell you, I have so much fun. And I think everybody should have freedom in their lives. And the one thing that we spend a lot of time teaching is financial literacy, compound interest.
Huge.
What a credit card does. And teaching people how to get out of debt and how to buy a home. I'm so proud of my team when someone buys a house. And so, do you know, I went to 3 house welcoming parties in the last 2 months. And I'm telling you, when people work at A1 Garage Door Service, their eye contact gets stronger. They start believing in themselves. Their stutter goes away. Mm-hmm. And it's so much fun to watch somebody grow and blossom as a person. And you know, it's not my creation. It's literally, we have so many great people that believe. And the culture is so strong. I believe it is that certain markets, if you don't have the right leader, we had our worst market was Sedona, Prescott, and Flagstaff.
Right.
Now it's our best market because there's a new leader there. So I can't say I'd love to tell you that everybody's 10 out of 10 happy at A1.
It doesn't always happen, right?
There's no way.
So number one, where can people get in touch with you? If they wanted to get in the garage door business, open a franchise, learn from you, whatever it is, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I say joining the Facebook group is the best way to get a hold of me. It's Home Service Expert. You know, there's about 7,000 people in there, mostly contractors. I'm all over Facebook. There's a way to get a hold of me in the book, Elevate, Build a Business Where Everybody Wins, or Home Service Millionaire. LinkedIn's big. But I would say the one I look at the most is Facebook. And just send a message. I'm an open book. I help out a lot of people. I'm not this guy that's like I charge $2,000 to take a phone call. I jump on a call and I'm like, usually what I'm doing is pointing them to someone that can answer their question. Like, you want to learn how to dominate Google? Call this person. I find great people, the best specialists.
It's networking. It's what we do.
Yep.
All right. So let's go back. Little Tommy's walking out of the door the first day to go paint garage doors.
Yeah.
First day in the trades. He's done landscaping, but trades, I'm going to call. And you know what? I guess landscaping could be considered trades too. First day you walk out of the house to go work in the trades, knowing everything you know now, what would you go back and tell little Tommy that day?
You don't need to go about this on your own. You need to find the best people and just know that's going to cost money. So instead of getting a deal on an employee that you're paying less, figure out a way to pay more, but make sure you're winning the goal. So all my performance pay and scorecards, when they make a lot of money, I made a lot of money. When they don't make money, I don't make money. But when I don't make money, they don't make money. So match up that you could celebrate with somebody made 10 grand in a week, that you're going to jump up and down excited for them. Align your interests with theirs and theirs with yours and the pace grade. And when you find that you could say, technicians making over 200 grand, the great people will come. But if you got lures out there to catch, minnows, that's what's going to happen.
Catch them.
Yeah. So if you want to go after whales, you got to put the right lures out there. So I tell myself, continue to be around great people. And I did that, but it took me a long time. It was a 10-year learning period. So I'd say success leaves clues, go learn earlier. I would also say slowly I became an avid reader, but readers are leaders. And I'd give myself a handful of books that I have to read. And I would say get your brand done a lot earlier. Don't call it A1 because there's 93 other A1s out there. And then I would tell him to find the best CFO in the country. And if you can't hire him, try to get him fractional. Because maybe he makes 500 grand, but for 5 hours a week, you could probably afford. And they'll give you the systems. They'll give you the tax laws. They'll get you on accrual accounting. They'll help set you up with a loan. They'll renegotiate with your vendors. They'll get you co-op dollars. They'll do more for you. They'll renegotiate with all your marketing. They'll tell you when to hit the gas and when to hit the brakes, because the one thing I failed at was going through bookkeeper after bookkeeper after bookkeeper, and I was growing even though there was not enough money to be growing. And I put myself in a lot of bad positions. So there's a lot there. But hopefully he would listen and say, all right, But then again, you wonder if those mistakes hadn't happened, would I be where I am today?
What are your books again?
Home Service Millionaire. And in that book, you're going to learn everything from A to Z about home service. Ara Madessian wrote a chapter, Al Levy about manuals, Alan Rohr about the financial quick check. You learn how to build a business to sell. Darius Livers talks about financing and what he's built. I got very fortunate. Best people you could get. And then Elevate, build a business where everybody wins. I believe when I go into a negotiation, I need to know how to make the employee win, the client win, the vendors win, the partnerships win, and I need to win. So unlike most games, there's a winner and loser. I sat down with my vendors 2 months ago and I said, give me your 3-year and 5-year goals. And they spelled them out for me. And I said, I can help you get into these 2 markets and we'll blow it up for you guys. Our product mix is the best in the industry. So I'll focus on, you said you need help in these 3 markets. We'll do this. Can you guys give us 3 months of spiffs on these doors? Because I know you make a lot more money when we sell these doors. I went to speak with them about how I could help them win. And all of a sudden they gave us back tenfold. And so I had Chamberlain that owns 78% of the market share of all openers. I had one of the main guys at my house the other night. And what they care about is connectivity. They want the internet connect to the opener. There's a big play on that, on a subscription base. And I said, when we go live in fourth quarter, I'm going to blow your socks off. I said, but I want my guy spiffed and I want $50 a co-op. And he goes, I can make that happen. He doesn't know I'm going to get 10,000 connections a month. 500 grand, $500,000 of marketing dollars are going to give me. So, but guess what? It's got to be all about Chamberlain. And
Absolutely.
so they get their name out there more. And they're happy as hell. Blackstone bought them. And those are the things that I talk about in the book Elevate. And just realize that you got to take complete ownership. You're the reason things go good or bad. People don't quit. They leave you. They don't want to work for you. You're the reason why things go right or wrong. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to accept both. There's no money in the account. It's not because someone stole. It's because you weren't watching.
Yep.
You could blame it. You could scapegoat. You could point the finger, but that's not going to work when you own your own business. And I'll tell you what, most businesses fail. Stats are against us. That's why when you do make it, I'm not giving all my money to taxes. And people are like, oh, pay your fair share. I'm like, trust me. We've paid lots of dividends. And there's nobody out there that doesn't try to, use the legal system to.
It's what it's there for.
It's most people don't know about it, but I love what I do. And if anybody wants to come visit A1 Garage Door Service, we do 2 shop tours a month. I'll do it myself. You can ask me any questions. Come with a lot of questions. You want to know how I branded correctly, how I built the training center, the KPIs that most people aren't looking at, how to get the call center to 90% booking rate, how AI is going to become a bigger thing. I'm doing all that stuff. And it's an open invitation. All you got to do is ask. In fact, I'll give you my email. It's the best one to use is my Gmail, a1leadmanager@gmail.com. It's a really old email, but that my assistant will get it. We'll set you guys up. You come in and we'll go to lunch and just an open book. And I'm paying it forward. And I want nothing from you.
So good. Tommy, this has been a blast.
I love this.
This has been a blast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Appreciate you.